What is cracking, game development gangsters? Now, if you've been following a lot of online tutorials and courses and you finished a bunch of them and you created a lot of games while you were doing those tutorials and courses, and now you feel like you are ready to start working on your own game. So what do? You open a new project, you find some assets online or you create your own, you implement them or import them in your project, and then you don't know what to do. So if you feel like you know the basics, and you pass the basics, but you still cannot create your own game, you cannot work on your own game, then I am afraid that you still don't know the basics. And don't worry, this happens to a lot of beginner game developers, me included, because what we don't realize is that while we are following a tutorial or a course and creating all those games, that's not the actual knowledge that you and I are gaining, because when the handhelding or holding or however is it called, I do not care. When the handhelding of the tutorial finishes, we are lost. We don't know what to do. Now, as I said, this is an issue that a lot of beginner game developers face. And luckily, I am your savior, I am your superhero, whatever. I have a solution to this problem. The first thing that you need to do is you need to start tweaking the code or writing the code on your own. I know this looks simple and this is obvious and oh, thank you for stating the obvious, but basically nobody does this. I encourage a lot of people on my Facebook group, in Discord chat, in my Game Development Academy to start doing things on their own. Yes, it's true, you're following a tutorial or you're following a course, but if you just look at what is being done and just pasting that and copying it without trying to modify it on your own, then you are not learning. Because when you modify the code on your own, you will see what changes it has done or what are the new features that the game has. Or maybe you will break something and then you will learn how to repair it, but that is the way to go. This is one of the ways. Another way is to look at other people's code and study it. Now, I say a lot that when you are a programmer, be that a game developer or whatever, your best friend is Google, Stack Overflow, and that is true. But what a lot of people do is they just go there and when they need a solution, they just copy paste it. That is not the way to go, especially if you're a beginner. What you need to do is you need to study the code. Now, this is referring to beginners because later on when you reach a certain level, you can just copy paste the code when you know what it's doing. But I'm talking about you needing to learn what it is doing, so what the code is doing. So study the code, see what it does, try to figure it out, try to change something. If you find a code that moves the player left and right, try to move him up and down, try to modify those things so that you can see the change, and that is how you will actually improve your coding skills. Of course, all of this is going to be difficult in the beginning, and I'm not saying this to discourage you because a lot of people will be like, oh, thank you for discouraging me. Why do people always see the negative in my videos? I want to just tell you the things how they are. You just need to come to terms with yourself that in the beginning, game development or programming or whatever you're doing, it is going to be hard. It's not going to be a cupcake that you are going to, eat in a day or two. No, it takes time for you to progress. So don't worry about that and don't get frustrated. Just know that is part of the journey, especially when you are looking at other people's code, trying to debug it, trying to figure out what it works. Let me tell you, it's not going to work right away, but if you stick to it, which is one of the main things when you want to learn how to code and make games, when you stick to it, then for sure, over time, maybe in a month or 2 or 3, depending on how persistent you are, you will definitely learn and understand all of the code and what it is doing and how you can modify it to change it to suit it to your own needs. What you need to keep in mind when you're doing all of these things is don't go outside of the scope of your capabilities. I know that your MMORPG game is going to be cool and it's going to throw away Fortnite and Dota and I don't know, League of Legends and all of that, but when you're starting out, do not try to create something very complex. Start from the basic things. I say that every beginner should start from basic text games or text input and output. I know this sounds boring and you don't want to hear about it, but if you truly want to learn, then you will need to do this. You will need to go through the basics and don't worry about the fancy 3D graphics and all of the cool games, don't worry about that. You don't need to create all of those games right away from the scratch, because this is what a lot of people do, and that's why they get lost, and that's why they get frustrated, and in the end you hear, oh, game development is hard and I want to quit, I cannot do it, blah 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 blah. Well, that is because that is your own fault. Don't go outside of the scope if you still don't know to read basic code. Because I have a lot of people in my academy and on my YouTube channel, I can see that they don't know how to read basic code, and right away they're asking some complex questions. Now, one of the parts of this journey is for you to actually ask questions and get help, but don't try to ask questions right away. I have people, they join my academy today and right away they have 10 questions. It doesn't work like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm like, I don't want to answer. I will answer you, but you will not learn anything. First, try to do things on your own. And when you tried everything, and you tried, and you Googled, and you searched, and then you cannot do, and you see that you cannot do on your own, that is when you will ask questions. Because there are people who never ask questions, and I don't encourage that as well. But I also don't encourage people who ask questions like, every hour. Because if you don't try, that is the harsh truth of learning how to program. No matter which course, no matter what, you can go to college, you can do whatever you want to do, but if you don't try to do things on your own, you will never learn. So this is something that I wanted to get out there, because I see a lot of beginners struggling with it, and a lot of beginners don't actually understand this. I see also a lot of people in my Facebook group, because I don't know if you're part of my Facebook group. If you are, when you apply to join, there are 3 questions that I ask you that are optional that you can answer. And one of those questions is, what are your biggest struggles with game development? So what do you struggle with game development? And I see this a lot in those answers. People just don't understand the concept of that. Basically, game development is a combination of your patience, of your trying, of your watching videos, of you looking at other people's code. All of that in one is what will help you to actually become a game developer, and not just taking my course or whatever course online and then you expect after 30 hours you go through it, oh, I'm ready to create my game. No, you're not. So just keep this in mind when you start learning, when you watch my tutorials, when you watch other people's tutorials. Just know that. And that's why I hate when people are like, oh, I will help you learn game development in 4 weeks. No, I mean, you can learn a lot in 4 weeks, but for you to be a totally independent game developer in 4 weeks, that is not possible, especially not job ready, as a lot of people are saying. So yeah, that is basically what I wanted to say. I don't have anything else clever to say, and I know some clever dude in the comments will be like, oh, but what you said so far was clever. I like reading your comments, man. Leave a comment, leave a like, and if you want to check out my Game Development Academy, link will be in the description, and I will see you in the next video.